Well, hello, everybody, and welcome to another amazing episode of Unstoppable Success. I am your host, Jacqueline Strominger. And as you know, on this podcast, we hear from just amazing, influential humans who really have an impact on our lives and who have had success and who can help us keep having that unstoppable success. And today, I have an amazing guest, Katie Maris. Did I say Maris?
Yes,
Maris?
you got it
I'm like,
right. It's all good.
I'm like, I know last names are so awful, like hard because like mine's Strominger, people like Strominger, Strominger, whatever. So, you know, it's I last names are always tricky. But let me tell you a little bit, listeners, about Katie because she really truly is remarkable. So, um, Katie has a unique blend to what she does. She helps people in the expertise of customer interaction. I mean, that is so important. We were talking pre-show about it, and I'm sure it'll come up. But it's about that great customer interaction, resilience building, and women empowerment. Her approach is always personal, genuine, and impactful. And she really has been recognized for her ability to connect with diverse audiences from the C suite executives to aspiring women leaders. She has an amazing TED Talk, The Art of Choice, and she has a best selling book, Custom Her Experience, which encapsulates her commitment to inspiring positive and actionable change within organizations that she partners with. And also, obviously, with you listeners, because obviously we are about making that unstoppable success, impactful change. So, welcome, Katie.
Thank you for having me. I'm so excited to be here.
I am so glad you're here. So, I'm always curious what got you down this path? There had to be some, was there like a big aha moment, or did you have an experience yourself?
Oh gosh. So if you're talking about down the path of the guest experience in general, there was an aha moment for me. I had a mentor that this is while I was the COO for North America's largest dental consulting firm. And I had a mentor that on my days off, on my sick days, on my vacation days, I would go and watch him develop experiences, watch him speak, watch him do his thing. And so this is while I was running an organization, I would go and do that. And I just had this aha moment when I was on stage with about 700 medical professionals in front of me. And I was talking about the patient experience. Something like came over me. I got off that stage and I sent in my resignation letter. I'm not even joking to my very cushy, very secure multi six figure position. And I decided to chase the guest experience, chase the patient experience, learn everything I could learn about it, and change the way humans experience businesses. And so it was that moment when I got off stage, I was like, this is what I want to do for the rest of my life. And so I did it.
So, what about it where you're like, "Oh my God, I need to make a change?"
You know, we work really hard for our money. We work really hard to be able to have discretionary income to spend on the things that bring us joy. And as consumers, we should be provided an experience that makes us feel good for the how we're spending our hard-earned money. And unfortunately, the guest experience is a lost art. And it's something that, we've been so bogged down with now, technology. We're busy being busy, life be lifing. We want instant gratification, that those that are serving us have forgotten just how important the customer actually is to their business. Because if we could drop a truth bomb right here, right now, you don't have a business without customers. And so we should be developing experiences that make our guests feel something pretty spectacular. There's a difference between customer service and customer experience, in my opinion. Customer service is transactional. It's here's my money, you give me a service or something in return. It's just an exchange of service for money. An experience is something that happens to a customer that impacts the way they feel. And
Mhm.
right now, 79% of customers are going to choose the competition based off of the experience alone. Now, if we go back to that definition of experience, where an experience is something that happens to you that impacts the way you feel, essentially, customers are choosing the competition not for your product, not for your price, not for your quality, but for how you make them feel. And so it's
Mhm.
this lost art of actually connecting with a human and anticipating their needs and surprising and delighting, delivering a plus one, and actually caring about the human that's standing in front of you.
I it's so important what you're saying, and I would say it is true. It is an absolute lost art about the experience. Everything from when you pick up the telephone to call X
Mhm.
company and you're like, "Ugh," right? Like how many of us like
Yeah, yeah,
give me the number, give me the number. I just want to talk to a human. I want a human. I
yeah.
don't want the blah blah blah, right? Um to when you walk into a store, right?
Mhm.
Or anything like and as you were saying, like even as you're a doctor's office walking in, how do they make you feel? How does a dentist make you feel? How does that environment make you feel? Is it warm and inviting? And it's true, people forget that part. And I think it's a it's and it becomes a top down, it's top down. It has to come from the top, right?
100%. It's all culture. It is top down, and it is definitely something that will make or break whether or not a customer chooses you over the competition. And you mentioned from the moment you pick up the phone, uh, it even starts before that, right? It's when you're in bed and you should be sitting next to your loved one and actually connecting with them. But you're in fact scrolling your phone, you're scrolling brands, you're comparing, and you have a laundry list of different places that you can go purchase the thing. And and so that experience, that connection starts long before you even decide to pick up the phone or walk in to a retail shop. But I have to tell you the story. So I recently, fall is coming, so I'm like, I need some new clothes. It's not the thing I love to do. I don't love shopping. I mean, I love, every woman loves a little retail therapy, but when you have to, it's
Right.
just like, oh, I gotta go. I don't know what has happened to consultative selling. It is obsolete out there right now. I went into, I mean, Aritzia, which is a well-known brand. I went into Nordstrom of all brands. I went into Anthropology. So all high-end stores, Alo or Alo, however you say it.
Yeah.
And I walk in and I'm in Walnut Creek in California, and I'm going into all these stores. Not one person says hello. Not one person asks in all these stores, what do you need? What are you looking for? Not one person is willing to go and find items and pull them for you. So it was the most, I was out to spend money. I was out to feel good. I was out to purchase, and I walked away with nothing. Absolutely nothing, because I'm like, where is this human that holds your hand like they used to, that makes you feel good, that is attentive,
Right.
that pulls the styles that work for you, and spends that time and creates that clienteling feeling. It's not there anymore. And I would have spent a lot of money, but instead I got frustrated. I didn't feel special, and I just walked out. So I went into meetings that I had, keynotes that I had, wearing I mean, my dresses are fine, but I wanted to feel special. I
Right.
wanted something new, and nobody was willing to give me that experience. And it's unfortunate because humans are so inundated with social media, technology, that when they decide to come in and shop with you, when they decide to pick up the phone, that's all they're looking for. They're looking for that connection. They're craving that connection.
And we crave human connection, and
Yes.
we crave it and we want it and we need it. And what's really interesting what you just said about that shopping experience is that there's two things to it, that for sure, like number one, that nobody was around, like, and it could have easily, and some people don't want to necessarily be asked like what are you looking for, but it all actually starts with something like if you walked in and they could say, oh my god, I love what you're wearing, or I like that top, and it starts, and you start to build a connection, and then you would say, you know what, thank you so much, you know what I'm actually looking for, and like it starts to connect, and people forget the art of conversation.
That's it. It's the art of conversations, the art of connections, the art of the guest experience. It is not something most, and here I'll clarify, there were people there. They looked at me and walked away. It's like they had something better to do. And I'm like, wait, do you like the life that you live, the food on your table, the roof over your head, the clothes on your back? Because it isn't the brand. While they may be signing your paychecks, without customers, they don't have money in the bank to sign your paychecks. And so there is this disconnect. And it's not about even selling, but it's about creating a relationship.
Hmm.
When a person actually leaves their home now to go to a brick and mortar store, they're there to buy. And so the road to the sale is not your normal road to the sale anymore. All it is right now is saying hello, getting their name, asking how they're doing, and letting that guest lead the way and having you responsible for the connection you create.
And what's really interesting about, I mean, it's so true. I think people forget that the paycheck that they're earning, they have to get people in the door to get the paycheck to keep coming. But the other part is that a lot of those professionals, and I'm going to call them retail professionals, they get paid on commission. And, and it's interesting because if you work with somebody so that you aren't just selling them the highest priced item because it's going to help your commission, but you're selling them on the right thing for them, the right look. And again, it's communication.
Yep.
The likelihood that you will go back in and return is less if you know the connection, right? Like,
Yep.
but if you get me into an, if I'm saying to you, "Ooh, I don't really want to spend that much money," but you keep pushing me into this direction, then I'm gonna maybe buy it and then return it
Hmm.
because I I'm getting annoyed or whatever it is, or
Yeah, buyer's remorse,
right,
100%. My mentor has this saying, you can make price irrelevant with the guest experience that you provide. And whether that's what you buy and not returning, or how much you charge if you make the experience. I use this example all the time. When you go to a restaurant and you have an incredible server and the experience is amazing, not just the food could be messed up. It doesn't have to be perfect, but you feel great during that 1 hour, 2 hour meal service. It's easy to tip 20%. You want to open up your wallet. You want to give her that money, or him that money.
right,
But when and if that experience is the opposite, the food can be incredible. The wine, the company at the table can be incredible. But if that server doesn't create an experience that feels good for you, you have a very hard time opening up your wallet and tipping them. And that's
yes,
the best example I can give, because we all go to restaurants, is that when you create an experience that affects and impacts the way you feel, it's easy to give money. You can
yep,
make price irrelevant. But if you create an experience where you're unsure, where you feel coerced, where you don't like the way you feel, it's like pulling teeth to open up a wallet.
yeah, yeah. So I'm curious because as we're sitting there talking about this, what do you think about the whole tipping thing, like right now? I mean, because you go to, let's say, X coffee shop
Hmm.
and they automatically turn the register around to give you a tip,
Hmm.
and you're like, for asking for a tip, and I'm like, huh, I haven't had a full experience yet. I don't know if I want to tip you yet. Like,
Well, that's the answer right there, is if you're questioning the experience, by the time you pay, uh, then they haven't done their job, and they haven't done it worthy of a tip. If from the beginning, and I bet you, and not that will ever be tested, but Starbucks is a great example. If Starbucks turned around and asked a barista or a cashier asked for a tip, I can almost guarantee you, even if it was just rounding up, the cents to the whole dollar, I bet you the majority of Starbucks goers would tip, because from the moment you walk in the door, eyes are up, they're greeting. Hi there, good morning, good afternoon. The vibe feels good from the moment you walk in the door. They have your name, they take your order, and now they have these new, not I call them non-negotiable standards, but they have these new standards where they write a really cool message on either your pastry bag or on your water cup or on your coffee. And it's this little surprise and delight. If at that moment they were to flip around the screen and say, would you like to tip me? Almost all of us would say yes, because we felt the experience from the moment we walked in the door. But for what the example you're giving is at that point, if you're like, but wait, I don't even feel like I've been given an experience. Well, then they haven't done their job and they don't deserve a tip.
Right. It's almost like the tip is coming at the wrong place, right? Or
Or,
like, right? Like, ask me for the tip when I get my coffee, when I actually physically pick up my coffee and see so that because the whole thing, is it's the whole experience, not just the start. It's like the start to the end. And at the
yeah,
end of it, it's like, oh, almost like put the tip jar at the end of it so you can
yeah.
put the cash in there because that's where you're going to end up having that final amazing feeling when you look at your cup and like, oh, I want to give him a tip.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, there's different places definitely in the guest journey that you could add that into, and there's probably some better than other, especially with the coffee buying experience. It's definitely a different journey than the restaurant experience. But I would actually wager that if there was a really cool vibe and energy and
Yep.
feeling that is in the coffee shop, and you felt excited and you had hits of dopamine and serotonin
Then
going
you're going to
through
want
your
to tip.
body, then you probably would tip without even thinking about it.
Yep. Yeah. No, it's very true. It's so true. But I really, kind of just going back to that customer experience and how it relates into, the corporate level.
Hmm.
Because when I think about that, this is where and listeners, my big thing is, that art of communication, that leveraging your communication, your employees and the people that work for you, you have to think of them as your customers.
Oh my gosh, you have to treat them better than you treat your customers because how you treat them is a direct correlation to how they treat your guests.
Hmm.
1000%.
Right. And so think about that too, listeners, because this is like really key, important part. If you can treat your people better, then when they are on the phone with a customer, anytime, whether it's a customer service issue, they're taking an order, whatever that exchange is, or it's a sales professional going out to sell your product or whatever it is you have them doing, whatever they're selling, they're going to do it 10 times better because they feel great because
Hmm.
you made them feel great. Like the whole feel, felt, found, right? I mean, we're almost forgetting that whole bit.
Hmm. Your
It's
happy customer is only as happiest as your happiest employee.
okay. Repeat that because listeners, that was so good, right? And it's so important.
It is. Your happiest customer is only as happy as your happiest employee. Full stop.
So true. It is
So
so true.
that culture that you create and that you allow, because it's a choice, right? It's a choice to survive, or I would say, it's an instinct to survive. So you just do what you got to do to make the business run. That's transactional. It's an instinct to survive. It is a choice to create a culture, to create an experience. It is a choice to create an employee experience, which then creates that guest experience. There again, transaction interaction, very operational. Instinct is to survive, do what we got to do. There's a choice to create. And I love Zappos for so many reasons, but there's such a great guest experience example. And the reason why is because they will actually give you money to leave. There is a bonus after 3 months of being hired, where if that internal guest, that internal customer, your employee decides they don't want to swim in the same direction, that they don't want to sing from the same song sheet and really represent the customer first focused culture, then Zappos will give them money to actually resign and leave. And that's how important it is at protecting that culture to ensure that every single employee and guest is being treated the way they want, is being treated by the philosophy of that guest first, customer obsessive, customer centric philosophy. If you, put your money where your culture is, right? Like if you really want to be successful, you have to protect your culture at all costs.
Yeah.
But first, you got to choose to create it.
Right. So let's say somebody's listening and they're listening and they're like, okay, where do I, and they maybe realize that maybe we need to change that culture to create that. What are the top 5 tips?
Oh my gosh. So I have what I like to call the 5 Ps from promise to profit. And that it basically outlines the things you need to do internally in order to gain an external profit. The first one is your promise, your brand promise. It's your why statement. It's why you do what you do, why your employees get behind. It's the thing that helps you filter all of your hires, all of your fires, all of your coaching. Is this human? Are we treating them this way? And are they demonstrating it, treating the guests this way? So that's your brand promise, your promise. And then there's your principles. And these principles are the things that uphold your promise. It makes it possible for everybody to sing from the same song sheet because they've got guidance. From your principles, you have process. And this is where I call them your non-negotiable standards. Uh, people call them journey mapping, moments of truth, touch points, whoever you want to look for on the internet, customer experience expert, we all have a name for it. But essentially designing your non-negotiable standards, which is your moments through time that your guest does business with you, or your employee does business with you, because there's an employee non-negotiable standard, playbook, I like to call it, and a guest one. So your process. Uh, Designing that process backwards from how you want to make your employees and your guests feel. So first you need to underline, that goes back to your promise and your principles. What are we promising? What are we delivering? Why are we doing it? And then designing your process not in reaction to it, but in order to actually achieve it. So what do we need to do every single day? What is our process every single day with every guest every time, or every employee every time, to achieve the promise and the principles? Then there's practice.
Mm.
You have to practice. You're not going to get it right the first time. The last time I checked, we aren't robots yet, right? Like we're humans still. Right, exactly. We're humans. So
Right,
it's,
right.
what are we doing to help our team members, our employees show up the best way they can? So what does your training look like? Do you have morning huddles? Do you prepare before clients come in the door? What does your practice look like? What does your practice culture look like? Are you coaching it? Are you seeing it, saying it? Are you reprimanding it? Are you hiring and firing by it? What does the practice look like? When you have your promise, your principles, your process, and you're practicing it, at that point, you gain trust. You gain the I like you, I know you, I trust you from your customers internally and externally, and it results in profit. So I would say, take one bite of the elephant at a
Yeah.
time, but go all the way back, peel the onion. Do you even know what you stand for? Do your guests even know what and why they're shopping with you? Do your employees know and wear that badge of honor, and they believe in why you exist and why you do what you're doing? The process is the how. So the promise and the principles is the why. The process is the how, and the what comes with practice. So what you deliver and the profit as well is what you get in return. And
Yeah.
Simon Sinek, I designed the 5 Ps from promise to profit based off of Simon Sinek's golden circle, right? Why, how, what? Because customers don't buy what you give them, they don't even buy how you give it to them. They buy why you do it. They buy off of emotion. And so if you design the process based off of the emotions you want to evoke in your employees and your guests, then you will always win.
Yeah. I love that. Absolutely, absolutely love that. And it is so true. And as you were talking, it's, something that I think is in so important. And that is, your values, I call it your achievement code, the code that makes you you and that you want to live by. You need to know what they are, and you need to know that how they represent into your company or
Mhm.
into your team. You need to know those values. It's so important, and it's amazing how many people don't, or they don't.
1000%. It's just something on paper.
Right. You need to live and need to live by it, breathe by it.
Yep.
It is so important. It is
That's
so
why, I bring up the Zappos example, is that it's so important to them that
right.
they will literally give you money to go find another job.
And that's, but, and also that's so, there's so many parts of that that are so key. I mean, number one, it's like you could hire somebody and realize that they don't fit the culture.
Mhm.
You know, maybe it was just like a snafu in the hiring process. Okay, but
Mhm.
not that they're a bad person, they don't fit.
Yeah, oh yeah, you're essentially giving them the opportunity to go find, their next best position.
Right.
And they don't have to stick around. And if they stick around and they don't fit, whether it's your decision or their decision, and then they create, they become a virus, right? They create trouble
Mhm.
in the organization. And why
Misery
allow
loves
that to
company.
happen? Let's
That's
help them
right.
have some money to go find their next best position because maybe they'll shine somewhere else, to your point.
Right. And that's also, I mean, that's the key thing is that if we it's investing in the people. Not
Yes.
everybody is the right person for the right position, but you can help them find the right next thing where they will shine. And and it's there's been some other really great companies that when they realized that there were certain people that in the company that they didn't believe in the same values and where they wanted to do their charitable donations, they said, "You know what? Here's your exit plan." And you know what ended up happening is that that company ended up doing more business with fewer people because they were all empowered and they were able to better work together. Again, because it's the right culture, the right values, right people.
Hmm.
And it's not like it was a bad thing to get rid of those people. It was a choice. Go. Like you don't fit this. And it's so important for companies to know that. And
I feel like we operate out of fear, right? Not everybody, but there's organizations that, I'll just again using Zappos because we're stringing this along. Zappos doesn't operate out of fear, right? They operate out of a certainty of who they are, what they believe in. I work heavily in the automotive industry, and a lot of dealerships they operate out of fear. They just want somebody that will fog a mirror, right? Like somebody that's alive, that's on the sales floor, that can greet a customer. The reality is they don't even greet the customer. There's a
right.
lot of work to be done in that space, but it
Oh
is
God, is there ever? I could show you
so
a couple of
much
them
work to
incidents.
we could
Oh
we could
my
have a
God, I
whole
could share the
podcast around
story.
that.
I'm like, oh my God, like, whoa. Just being
That
a
is
female. Oh my God.
Oh, I know. Well, that's how I wrote my book, by the way. Customer Experience was because a series of awful car buying experiences. That's how I got into that whole sector. But anyways, it is it is critical that we as organizations stand behind what we believe in and have faith in the fact that if you make this hard choice by letting somebody go, by tightening up your hiring processes, by coaching and writing up individuals or putting them on performance plans, that having faith that that will actually work out for the better. Unfortunately, a lot of leaders and a lot of organizations, they act in fear. So they would rather have a warm body than have the right body. And that's where we fall short. They don't have the faith that the right bodies that are there will hold up the organization or what needs to be done. So they bring in a warm body to help those who are the right ones, and then it ends up unraveling. So, I would counsel any organization that's listening, any leader that's listening, are you hiring out of fear, or are you walking in faith that the right people that are there are going to service your customers the way they should?
And that's so important. And as a company too, are you going to give your people the empowerment to do
Oh,
what
that's
is
huge.
right?
Mm-hmm.
To do what is right and have a mind to think, oh, maybe they didn't feel so great. How can I make that better? Or let me be empowered to do the right thing and not have
But
to
that
ask.
would be letting go of control, right? That would
Oh,
be running an organization out of full faith rather than fear. In these examples that I give you, you can find them on the internet, but the Ritz-Carlton empowers and gives every single team member $2,000 per customer to either make it right or to surprise and delight. And they have this money that they don't even need to ask. Now it's over $2,000. We need to have a conversation just to ensure, but otherwise they're completely empowered. They would first get in trouble to not use the money rather than using it. They are actually celebrated to use that money to make to be daymakers, to make their guests' experience elevated. Ritz-Carlton operates in belief. They use the thing called credo, which means I believe. They have credo cards that has, their brand promise, which is ladies and gentlemen serving ladies and gentlemen. They have all of their principles or pillars or whatever they want to call it, but
Right.
semantics, but they have it on a credo card. And every single employee knows this. They have this credo card on them at all times. So they operate out of belief and faith and empowerment. And that's why they're so dang successful. They don't need loyalty. They don't need, discounts. They don't need anything like that because they've created a faith-filled, belief in the culture that they run with rather than operate in fear. When you operate in fear, you're worried about, is my employee going to take advantage of that $2,000? Is my employee going to spend it where it shouldn't be spent? Is my employee going to spend it on themselves? And you start to go down this path of what if my employees do the wrong thing rather than operating in the mindset of what if they do the right thing. And there's a stark difference in operating that, in that in
That
that
there
light.
is such a start. And you know what you're saying, it's so important. I could talk to you forever about this because this is kind of a key thing about this. And I'm just going to share this, which is basically when you can put the faith and trust in your employees and they feel empowered, they are going to do whatever they can to make that company succeed because they feel empowered by it. They felt have a sense of ownership. It is
Mhm.
when they don't that the other stuff starts to unravel and people will take more sick days. They'll try to milk the system or work the system versus be in it for the best reasons to help the company or the business thrive.
Oh yeah, 100%. If you want the best out of your employees, you got to treat them like an owner.
Yeah,
You got to treat them like they have the best interest at heart for your organization. The reality is, if they don't, why have you hired them? Like, why? It
right.
doesn't make any sense.
Yeah. So, Katie, I really could talk to you forever because I think this is so an important topic. So, listeners, I want you to understand something. This is if you want to have unstoppable success in your business, seriously, create the best experience you
Yes,
can
yes.
for
Yes.
your employees first, customers second, because it trickles down. And you really want to make that happen. And then I also want you to do me the other favor is connect with Katie. Katie, where can people find you?
Oh my gosh, you can find me on Instagram if you want a little bit of mix of five-star experiences and five-star living, basically my life. Katie Maris at Katie Maris on Instagram. If you want all business though, where I host a CX is non-negotiable weekly lunch and learn for 30 minutes every week. So LinkedIn, just search me up, Katie Maris, say hello, connect with me. I'd like to be your friend. But also I post multiple times a day with incredible experiences that you should be able to learn from.
Awesome. I love it. So, listeners, again, go connect with Katie, Instagram, LinkedIn, get all of her good stuff. And then please do me the amazing favor. As we are getting things going this year, it's all about being unstoppable and having unstoppable success. So, share this episode, help your friends, your colleagues have that experience and give them this experience because it says a lot about you. And do me a favor of hit subscribe to the podcast and share. I'm Jacqueline Strominger, your host, and here's to amazing, unstoppable success. Thank you all for listening, and thank you, Katie, for being a great guest.
Thank you.